what do you got to lose? What do you have to lose? No one owns you. You don't owe anybody anything. If you are serious about your business, you're passionate about it, and you want to, succeed, give it a shot. Give it a shot, do it, try it. There's no harm in it. Unless you try it, you're not going to know. And I think investing in your personal brand is just so important, because there's just so much competition out there. What makes you different? I'm not saying just come up with a tag name for the sake of it. It is something you feel. So when I say the people's broker, or the other one I like using is the hardest working broker, someone asked me this question, I say, you know what? It's not just a catchphrase. It is a lifestyle.
Welcome to the Property Funder podcast. I'm your host, Michael Dean. You can find me on the internet at property_funder. I'm here today with Ajaz, aka the People's Broker, People's Broker YouTube channel as well. And Ash is the founder and CEO of Focus Financial Solutions. I got it right.
Focus Finance Solutions. Yes, you got it right. Well
okay,
done.
Focus Finance Solutions. There we go. Ash, great to have you here today. I know you've had a bit of an ordeal getting in. We won't dwell on that.
Let's not.
But now we're here. So
we're here. That's the most important thing.
Ash, you've got 25 years experience in the financial services industry. What's changed and what stayed the same?
So much has changed when you look back, 20, 25 years. And my experience actually kind of expands working in America and then working in the UK. But I'll focus on mainly working in the UK. I think things have gotten a lot more challenging, especially in the last 5 years, I would say. But again, saying that, when I started in banking in the UK, we were just coming out of the recession. So this was 2011. So things were quite tough at the time as well. So many things were happening, MMR and all these things were being implemented, like regulation was like really high level and things like that. So it was really hard, working in the industry and being mindful of the regulations and all these things. So it wasn't just that easy. So for better, I think it was needed compared to where the market was prior to the recession. So those are the things. And then, post sort of 2020 era. So I kind of, it's like the story of two halves. So the post 2020 era, again, challenging times. And someone was saying to me, I was talking to somebody the other day and he goes, the years you've been a broker, these have been the toughest years as a broker. And he's been a broker for much longer, about 10 years. And I said, really? He goes, yeah, you've done it in the hardest of times. So, well done to you. I was like, all right, thank you.
Do you think that I'm going to challenge that a little bit. Do you think that especially the dislocation of the last 2 or 3 years, that rising interest rate environment, do you think that that's given you more opportunities to win business and take market share?
So I'm a strong believer that there's always opportunity. So even when, 2020 came, I had just started my business and everything went crazy. I'm the type of person, I'm very, very optimistic about everything. I always look for opportunity in everything. And especially, as you said, the chaos of the 2-3 years ago when the rates went all crazy and stuff like that. It's still, I was like, okay, there are going to be opportunities. And I feel what happened 2-3 years ago, and I actually did a video about this. So this craziness happened, I think, in back end of 2022. And I put a video out in December, said, why will everyone need a broker in 2023? And that's what happens, because when that rates went crazy, my phone didn't stop ringing that night. I was getting phone calls till 11, 12 o'clock at night from people I haven't heard from in years. Someone who I've just met once at a networking event. It's like, okay, wow, it's going to be quite crazy. And so I think the role and a job of a broker, someone working in finance, has been really elevated, and the importance is there. And even I was listening to somebody and they're like, yeah, the brokers are now worth their weight in gold.
Certainly, it's been a really turbulent period, and you could go back as far as say 2014, even. Avonmore Capital has been in existence for 10 and a half years now. So if we go back to even 2014, there's been every 12 to 18 months, there's been something that has been, in the UK at least, there's been something that has been a significant event that we've had to navigate, starting with the Scottish independence referendum, the Brexit vote, and then obviously going through the COVID, Ukraine war, Liz Truss quasi-Kwarteng
debacle,
and you could even add the 2025 budget as well. Right?
Yes.
How did you find the response from your clients, or in terms of their activity and appetite in the run up to the budget? Do you think that the way the budget was communicated was detrimental to business overall?
So I'll take it back to the 2024 budget, the very first budget this government presented. And some of the announcements and actions were just atrocious, especially the one that stood out to me is the additional stamp duty being effective immediately by midnight next day. And you were like, oh my God, how can they do it? At least give people until, March or something like that. But, that came into place. Luckily, it didn't deter a lot of the people that I was working with. They still went on with their transactions. But the effects of that budget were felt in sort of April of 2025, when the stamp duty thresholds were changed and all these things, and a lot of the things that came into effect, the national insurance contribution for the employers and, things like that. So this year, I think, has been a story of two halves. The first half of this year, gotta say, it has been much more challenging. It has been a much more challenging year for us as a business compared to the previous years. But now the second half, things really kind of picked up. And regarding the budget, again, there was a lot of speculation about a lot of things. I think maybe, I don't know how much was the truth in that. Maybe the government did a U-turn on some of those policies that they were going to implement, I think, because of how much noise was created. I think the press conference that was done by the chancellor a month before was kind of like, okay, softly getting us ready for the bad news. But I think because of the pushback she got and things like that, I think she had to change a few things. So a few people still quite concerned about it. They're kind of just holding back and waiting and seeing, and a lot of people were. So there was that little bit of a lull period, sort of a month before the budget, I would say. Yeah,
I definitely think there was, as we saw it, we had a really good pipeline lined up for November, and actually, as it happened, November turned out to be a quieter month, and then December, obviously we're recording now in beginning of 2026, December ended up being a strong month. At the end of the day, I think my expectation was at the beginning of November 25, there's going to be a lot of noise from this budget, but the reality is that the bark will be worse than the bite.
Yeah.
The problem was I think a lot of people sat on their hands because there was just too much uncertainty and nervousness that came out of it. So hopefully 2026 is going to be a better year in the sense that people know where they stand.
Yeah.
But you never know. What's your predictions for 2026 in terms of your client base and what they're going to be looking to do? So
the type of person I am, I'm always very optimistic about the new year. When someone was questioning me about 2025, I was like, you know what? Yeah. Because the thing we have to believe, when things get bad, they won't be bad forever.
Yeah.
They are going to get better. So we may not see instant effects like next year. A lot of times people want instant relief. People want instant results, but it's not going to happen. It's going to take time. As you said, you just described, we've been through a lot in the last 10 years, and a lot more things are happening. It's not like everything has kind of gone nice and easy. It is only now we are seeing the effects of Brexit, which we completed in 2020, whatever the deals we did. And I think we will continue to feel the effects of it for years to come. And it is now we're starting to see it, a lot of the things. I'm still optimistic about 2025. I feel like
26.
Sorry, 26. Got my ears crossed. Yeah. Things are going to get better. That's just my gut feeling. And I'm already seeing it. I already kind of do like a deep dive into the future. What does the future hold? I'm always prepped for it. Okay, so what do my next 6-12 months look like? And, I'm more optimistic, especially the second half of 2025 as I've seen and the heightened activity there was. Yeah. I feel like, ultimately people are going to be like, you know what, it is what it is. Yeah. I just got to do what I got to do. And I just got to, adjust a few things. And that's what you do. You adapt.
Yeah. Do you feel that there's that kind of, there's an element of sort of deal fatigue, like not deal fatigue, but people are kind of like inertia fatigue, where everyone's like, right, okay, I've sat on my hands for too long now. Yeah. I just need to do something. Do you feel like there's an element of that at play as well, which people are like, look, I've just got to start doing stuff now? Yeah,
the people who are used to doing stuff are going to do stuff. People who have been doing stuff, we're still doing stuff in 2025. I still feel when you look at the property market, it is definitely a buyer's market right now.
For sure.
You never knew. I mean, there was a time when you had to compete with other buyers to try and get a property, and they were selling for a lot more. Now, as people are being more cautious, there's a lot more stock in the market. Obviously, the stamp duty thing I described. Obviously, the first-time buyers are not as proactive. Cost of living crisis is playing a big role in people's plans and things like that. When people are planning to buy or ready to buy in a certain area, now they're having to look in other areas because their circumstances have changed or whatever. And again, all this lot of talk about what's going to happen with AI, with jobs and things like that. So people are just trying to reconfigure their plans. So for those people, maybe who've been sitting on their hands, they would be like, you know what, I've sat on my hands too long. I gotta do things. So I think, there will probably be activity.
Yeah, because I guess there's a lot of people who've been sat on the sidelines with cash, waiting to do things, and they've always been waiting for just the right moment. Yeah. And I think maybe now just that little bit of stability, predictability, people are like, okay, I've just got to crack on now and make it work.
I think the big thing is, which came out of 2025 and going into 26, is the Bank of England and the base rate, how positively it's kind of been. I mean, they've been very cautious still because inflation went down and then inflation went back up in August. But they have been cautious, but it's been positive signs, and there's been positive signs. So again, the predictions are by the end of 2026, we're expecting the base rate to be near 3%. I still feel that's it'll be a very bold move.
I think that's a bit optimistic.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
just based on the way that the Bank of England have operated.
Exactly, because you don't want to change things or do things too quickly to disrupt. We're still walking on almost like a minefield, basically.
Listen, we can both play armchair economist, but there is an element of I do question the reluctance of the Bank of England to cut rates up to this point, in the sense that the factors that have been driving inflation, I sort of feel like they are a bit independent of interest rates, if you know what I mean.
Yep. And
I actually think that there's so many parts of the economy that are struggling that actually that I think that. Look, the Bank of England obviously have access to they're far more knowledgeable economists than me, and they have access to far better data than I do. But just on my gut feel, I can't see how, if they'd been a little bit more proactive in cutting interest rates, that would have actually had that much of an inflationary effect. That's just my personal opinion. Yeah. But anyway, that's just me.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that, because as you said, if say they had cut the rates too fast, say property market and stuff, suddenly everybody comes out of the woodworks basically to buy, and here you go, house prices started to really go up again, kind of like we saw that in 2020, 2021, when the rates were like took a nosedive, and we're like, I remember a rate was like 0.7 or something like that, a buy-to-let rate, which was like a 2-year fix. Like, how ridiculous is that?
So mad.
So everybody, and it just inflated the house prices. They just went crazy. So I think I agree with Bank of England for still being cautious about it.
Do you think that the sort of the house price super cycle is kind of done now? Do you think that going forwards we're not going to see these kind of double-digit annual house price inflation going forwards?
Never say never with anything. As we said,
Fair.
a lot goes up and down, and the UK housing market is very different, they say, to any housing market in the world. So because, UK housing market attracts so many people, not just the locals, but like the international investors and stuff as well. So, never say never. My guess is as good as yours or whatever. It's like...
In terms of your client profile, have you seen that evolve over the last, I'd say 5 years since you've founded the business, but maybe going back even further than that? Has it been largely the same, or has there been a degree of evolution about the types of clients that you've been serving?
There is always evolution. So as a brokerage, we service all types of clients. So we work with property investors, we work with business owners who are looking for cash flow for their business and things like that. There has definitely been an evolution and change. A lot more people coming in to the market, and every year it happens. I meet a lot of first-time investors and first-time developers who are coming into the market because now they learned about it, or they've talked to a friend who I might have helped, and now they have the confidence, and then you have that first conversation. You're like, okay, yeah, I can do this. And this is the belief I give to people when they come to me for the first time, because it's a daunting task. Oh my God, a development project, my God, what's going to happen? But I've got enough experience working on so many projects now, and conversions and developments and land developments, that after that first conversation, I try and give them that confidence. I say, listen, you can do it. This is how you do, and I'll be there for you to hold your hand throughout the journey, from acquisition to the development to the exit. Yeah. And I think that's what's so important. And even during the time when they're developing it, I never let go of them. I'm with them. And even when during the drawdown process and stuff like that, I'm there for them. I say, instead of, where a lot of people may say, oh yeah, just contact the lender directly. We're there to service our clients. We say, no, contact us. Let us make your life easy. We know you running a business, you've got a job, you got a family. Let us take those stresses away from you and do that for you. So clearly the evolution has been there. And also with the existing investors, to elaborate on that, they have moved on from smaller projects to now doing bigger projects, because they've done those things. They've started out maybe buying a normal property, renovated it, did it. Now they've gone to auction, and now they're looking at bigger property. Now they're looking at blocks, or now they're looking to HMO development. So definitely, I think it is there. Yeah,
there's been a clear... there's this, it's almost like you're growing with your clients as they grow, right?
Yes.
What would you say the common kind of pitfalls that you see with clients, and how do you go about steering them on the right path?
So over the years, I've noticed this more and more, and I think from the start, I've become a lot more. I'm not afraid to tell the client. I think they do the first bit right, as in acquiring the property, and when it comes to starting the project, they become quite lax. Like, okay, relax. Like, if you're taking a 12-month, 15, 18-month development finance, that time passes really fast, especially the first 3 months. They just run by, and you contact somebody. And this is why every quarter I'm touching base with a client to get an update on the project. So a lot of time you touch base in the first 3 months. What's happened? Oh, nothing happened. Like, that time's going to come around really quickly. Firstly, the other thing is, in their mind, they're thinking, okay, I can do this project in 6 months. In reality, what I'm saying to them, okay, that's 9 months. Now, what's your exit strategy? Are you selling, or are you refinancing? If you're looking to sell, this is not a good time to sell. Properties are taking a lot longer to sell than they did in 2025. So you had to and one thing I did see in 2025, a lot of people going over their term or having to apply for extensions and things like that. So that is something I've become a lot more clear with the client. If they're saying, I need 12 months, I said, no, you need 18 months actually. Or if there's before, I remember, well, I only need a bridge for 3 months or 6 months. Nope. Just do 12 months. If you repay it early, there's no issue because you're only going to get charged for what you're using it for. So it's just, don't be afraid to have that control. That's what I keep telling myself and telling people no.
Well, I guess the thing is, from your perspective, you want your clients to be successible because you want them to have multiple deals, right? Because because ultimately, we work with a lot of early stage developers. Obviously, we've been going over 10 years now. It's really interesting the point you make, which is like they buy it and then nothing happens for 3 months. And I guess part of it is, especially if it's like your first kind of big deal, at least in their minds, they put so much effort and energy into actually doing the acquisition that once that's done, they've probably scraped every penny they could find everywhere to get the deal closed, and then they often don't have the liquidity to get started on site, or they're just so emotionally drained that they just go and kind of put their feet up psychologically and then 3 months have passed before they've even laid a brick.
And another big thing is, just referring back to that point, is also getting the sign-off, the building sign-off. This is another thing I've gotten. So some of my clients didn't listen to me and they went to, the council. I said, use like private, go private, please. Because it costs so much money, but look at it, how quickly you can get it signed off. You can get it refinanced. You got tenants in there, you're earning rent if the refinance is your strategy. Compared to waiting on the local council. I mean, I've had some really scary stories this year that have happened, which have completely killed my clients' profits, where, I think they got stuck with one of the worst councils in the country when their project was completed in March and it didn't get signed off till October, November time. And they had to do 2 extensions on their bridge. So I think that's another, and it's like sometimes lessons are learned the hard way and people want to find out the hard way. But I think that's something I've always told my client now.
Yeah, I think that's, we've learned as from an asset management or loan management perspective, is that we have to almost hold clients' hands as far as building control sign-offs, new homes warranty sign-off as well, so that they can get that exit. The exit, whether it's the term exit or whether it's
sale
or the sale or whatever. It's really important that we help the client on that journey as well, because it's ultimately in our interest to get it done. But it's funny because obviously we're just the other side of Christmas and New Year period now, and one of the interesting things is, historically we've always had a very, very strong Q4 in a calendar year. Lots of people wanting to do business ahead of Christmas, the Christmas shutdown. The thing that we've started to notice as we work with slightly more savvy and experienced developers is they just want everything lined up before Christmas, but they don't want to complete or close deals before Christmas a lot of the time. Obviously, we and the brokers want to have a nice holiday season, knowing that the commissions and the fees and et cetera are committed. But a lot of the developers, they don't want to do that, because they can't get people on site, they can't get materials on site. Why do they want to be committed, and why do they want to be paying interest on facilities that they can't do anything, on land that they can't do anything with?
Exactly.
So actually we see that with smarter developers, more experienced developers. They're going, I'm not doing anything until like 15th of January when I can actually get my labor on site, and then they can just crack on and start building.
Exactly. And you're absolutely right. I mean, I think you come up to a point, and if the valuations need to be done and you're coming up to Christmas, they're like, no, let's just get it done after Christmas now. There's no point sending someone there, because obviously the valuer is going to do the survey. He's not going to do the report till the new year. And even if someone did the report for like sort of before Christmas, nothing's going to happen with it. And that's 2-3 weeks lost on that report, especially when the report is only valid for 3 months or 6 months, whatever you look at it. So I think normally what I say to people, I think 30th of November is kind of pretty much the cutoff.
Correct.
And even when inquiries are coming in December, you entertain them and stuff like that. but majority of the times nothing's really gonna materialize because everybody's going on holiday, valuers, solicitors, everybody.
Or if they're not on holiday, they're spending all day at the darts, or they're going
Christmas parties,
whatever. or whatever. So yeah, I guess now we're back in January, and people are. I think even January gets off to a slow start, doesn't it? No one really wants to do anything till the second half of January.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people actually go on holiday in January.
Yeah.
So people who've been away, like sort of, because all the places have like these January sales and stuff, the airlines, so people take advantage of that. So a lot of times people go on these holidays in January. Sort of like, I think mid-January, when things like 15th Jan, when things really start to take off. The other thing also happening is obviously the personal tax returns. People are concentrated on that as well.
I'm
like, why are you leaving it so late? You know, accountants are nowhere to be found. They've locked themselves in a dungeon doing these tax returns and stuff. So I think that's another big aspect, actually. And then in February, the VATs come. So it's a crazy start to every year.
Thanks for reminding me about the personal tax.
Come on, get it done.
Well, the return's done. Unfortunately, it's the payment now that I've got to.
I don't like that either.
No, that and the school fees that have just come out. So not the happiest of times. In terms of the brokerage, how have you found the growth of that over the last 5 years? In terms of the client base, but also in terms of personnel, what's that experience been like for you? And are you glad you made the jump?
So the start was tough, launching the business in January 2020. And then everything just shutting down and stuff like that. But it taught me, and coming out the other side, now anybody who complains, or even when the Liz Trust debacle happened or whatnot, when people were complaining, people were throwing in the towel, so many brokers like, I'm not going to be a broker anymore, brokerage is dead and blah blah. I say to people, you know what, we went through 2020, we made it out of 2020 where you couldn't get out your front door. So if you can get through that, you can get through everything.
For sure.
And that's what's taught me so much. And I think where we are right now and how last 5 years have gone, we're coming up to almost 6 years. 6 years actually we completed now. I think we've been blessed, and not just with the client base, growing through existing clients who are continuing to do things with us, but referrals and whatnot, but also as a team we've grown. We've got myself and then 2 other consultants, brokers in the business as well. One is mainly focusing on property. The other one is more like heading up our cash flow. Then we've got obviously the support team, the admin staff, marketing and stuff like that. So it has been a journey, and it has been a learning experience, like learning on the job. But people do ask me that question, would you ever go back and take an employed role somewhere and stuff like that? And I said, given the lifestyle I've got now, obviously with a young family and everything, and other passion projects that I'm working on and things like that, I'm so glad I did. I am in the position that I am, and I made the move. And I want to just continue doing this and keep continuing with it.
And what was the spark that made you want to go and set up your own shop?
I was kind of pushed into it, basically. So this is actually an interesting story. It was like back end of 2019. I was let go from my job, a place that headhunted me, but sort of 3-4 months in the role, just one morning, bam, gone. Don't know what was happening in the background and stuff, but it was very cutthroat. And at that time, I kind of like thought to myself, I'm like, should I just go and now apply for another job? I mean, by this time, I had seen the industry from various aspects. I had worked in personal and private banking, business banking. I had worked in mortgages. I've even worked in like trade finance, asset finance, invoice finance. So I kind of had an understanding of all the various products. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to give this a shot. I sat down with my wife, had a chat with her. And she said it was very scary at the time, making that big decision. Savings completely ran out by the time I started. So I kind of was cornered, and the only way was my back was against the wall. So I'm like, you know what, I'm going to give this a shot. And it's just that passion I had. I'm like, you know what, now is the time to invest in my own brand rather than selling someone else's brand. And I'm glad I did.
Yeah. We'll get on to brand in a bit, because we've got to cover the people's broker channel, because actually that's the whole thing for me. This episode was sponsored by Avamore Capital. In property finance, you want specialists who understand development, refurbishment, part completed projects, and bridging deals inside out. Avamore Capital knows construction timelines, cost pressures, and what it takes to structure deals through market changes. Deep expertise, not surface knowledge. Solutions-led thinking based on what actually happens on site. When you're working with Avamore, you're working with people who get it. Learn more at avamorecapital.com. On the SME finance side, I just wanted to touch on that a little bit, because we've seen a few kind of specialist property lenders now dipping their toe in the water on SME finance. I would imagine there's a kind of secured lending angle to a lot of that. But do you think that that's a trend you expect to see more of? And do you think that the SME finance market is underserved?
I think definitely underserved. And I'm so glad seeing more and more lenders now. And this is what I've been kind of crying about it. I mean, I could count the number of lenders on my fingertips. That's how many they used to be. But I think more and more now lenders, especially like on the commercial side of things, like secured commercial mortgages, more and more lenders, a lot of the bridging lenders are now coming into that market. And I think it's really good to see that competition. Yeah. Competition can only be good, and it can only be good for our clients, and more variety, and also the various types of criterias and things, rather than one size fit all type of thing. And this is the rate, and this is all you have. If you don't fit the high street criteria and the high street thing, okay, this is your only other option, you know? So I think it's great to see that. Definitely it has been underserved. And I'm so glad to see so many lenders are kind of coming on to the market. Yeah. And what sort of structures are you typically seeing or structuring, or at least the SME part of your SME finance part of your brokerage? I mean, limited companies has been a big thing. More and more people are now, with properties, you guys have seen it too, are buying in limited companies. Yep. I mean, gone the days of personal. I mean, still, people are still buying in personal names, but I think when you have those ambitions of building a portfolio or having lots of properties, not just one and two, people are kind of getting advice. People are researching and looking at the pros and cons of personal name and limited company purchases, and they're looking at the tax implications. A lot of factors that go into it, depending on the jobs they have, the businesses they have, and things like that. So I think limited company is definitely a big one I've seen. People using more and more SPVs, building a portfolio of 3-4 properties in SPVs, and then as an exit strategy, then they go on, and instead of selling individual properties, they just sell the SME, or that SPV. Instead of putting 10 properties into an SPV, sometimes they make chunks of like 5 or 4, and then it's easier for them to kind of offload them when the time comes to exit. Yeah.
But in fact, we recently financed, I think it was a £5.25 million portfolio transaction in Bristol, which was done through the sale of the SPV rather than the individual units on a piecemeal basis. Yeah. So it's interesting that it's something you're seeing as well, and I guess it's something we'll probably expect to see increasingly a lot more of.
We will. Yeah. We will definitely.
Let's talk about personal brand. You've got your YouTube channel. You're known as the People's Broker. How did it all come about?
So, I mean, since, as I was talking about, investing in your own brand, when you work for yourself, your brain never stops. And I'm that type of guy. I'm always looking to improve. I'm always looking to, and this just not in business and everything, I'm always looking to stand out from the crowd. And you got to be different and unique. And that's how kind of the People's Broker brand came about. I mean, it was just something that kind of popped in my head, and I spoke to someone about it and I was like, is it too cheesy? Should I do it? And it's like, man, do it, And then I thought about it and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do it. And it has had very positive feedback from people. I think it's more these kind of brands that get stuck in people's head and how people start to recognize you. People may not remember your name, but they may remember a logo or colors in certain things. And that's what I kind of started like researching and learning more. And that's what I kind of worked on over the last few years, just building that brand. And I'm so glad it is a lot more recognizable now. When I speak to people or even run into people at events and things like that, they say, oh yeah, it's the People's Broker, isn't it? Like, all right, great. Or it's the Monday Motivation guy or whatever, stuff like that. So I've created a lot of these, brands around the People's Broker. And I just feel very, very passionate about all these things. And same goes for the YouTube channel as well.
Yeah. I talk a lot about Colin Horton, and you obviously will know of Colin if you don't know him personally. And I think ultimately we're increasingly going to offer services that are, because of tech, largely indistinguishable from a service and experiential point of view. So the only thing we're really going to have that makes us stand out is brand.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to people who are nervous about putting themselves out into the world?
What do you got to lose? What do you have to lose? No one owns you. You don't owe anybody anything. If you are serious about your business, you're passionate about it, and you want to, succeed, give it a shot. Give it a shot, do it, try it. There's no harm in it. Unless you try it, you're not going to know. And I think investing in your personal brand is just so important, because there's just so much competition out there. What makes you different? I'm not saying just come up with a tag name for the sake of it. It is something you feel. So when I say the People's Broker, or the other one I like using is the hardest working broker. Someone asked me this question. I say, you know what? It's not just a catchphrase. It is a lifestyle. When people see things on social media or see my stories, like, how do you find time to do this and that and this and go to the gym and spend time with your family and do all this type of stuff? And I said, that's just what it's all about. So I think whatever brand you're creating, whatever title you're creating for yourself, whatever you're doing, make sure it means something to you and you actually live by it. It's easy to just create a title, but if you don't live by it, then it doesn't mean anything.
No, well, I think that's perfectly fair, isn't it? What would you say have been the most interesting learning lessons since you've been putting yourself out there, doing the YouTube videos? What adaptations have you made that have enabled your continued success?
I think the key thing from day one, so the YouTube channel, I had been thinking of doing something for a very long time, and it was the free time I had in 2020 that actually allowed me to do it. So this is what I say, I know there's always opportunity in everything. So I was like, you know what, if I didn't have so much free time then, I probably would have never done the channel. Yeah. And even doing the channel and preparing for it, I'm a bit of a perfectionist when in that aspect. I'm like, when I was putting my first video out, I think it took me like a month to create that video. I wanted, the first impression is the last impression. So, the work I put into it, I created this studio in my little room and the green screen and all these things basically. And I had to learn all these things about video creations and media and stuff like that, which was very fascinating. And, but over the years, obviously I've learned, you look at trends, what was working then may not work now. I think I think it was being trialed early part when I launched the channel 5 years ago, the shorts. It wasn't really a thing at the time. No, they were just trialing it and stuff. And now shorts is like the biggest thing. And it's the thing that works for me more. Very few people will have time to watch a 10, 15 minute, 30 minute video. People have more time to watch a minute video. 30-second video, even more, 10-second, even more. I just want quick, instant, a result. So I think it's kind of adapting to the time and adapting to what people are reacting to. So kind of changing your strategy that way.
At this moment in time, when you post a video, are you doing it with a lead generation, deal creation idea in mind, or has it gone beyond that? Is it as in you just enjoy you enjoy the education component of it?
So from day one, my passion for launching this channel has been about education, and it kind of came about when I was talking to one of my clients who didn't know how to access her credit report. And I was searching videos on YouTube. I'm like, maybe I'm trying to help her. I'm struggling to help her and explain it to her over the phone. I'm like, man, I wish I could just send her a YouTube video and stuff like that, how-to video. And I searched for it. I found some videos and they were so horribly produced and things like that. And that's what gave me the idea. I'm like, something better needs to be done, a better quality stuff. So my first thing was education, create education. But selfishly, I was new in the industry anyway, so it gave me an opportunity to learn these things as well before I could teach the people. But then at the same time, my focus has always been is explaining things to people. I always do with my clients, and now with this YouTube channel, those complicated topics in the layman's term as possible, things people don't want to talk about. You want to explain to them in the easiest language as possible. And that's what I started doing basically with these videos. And now a lot of times when people want to talk to me, they say, hey, I don't understand this product. Okay, watch this 3-minute video. It'll give you a bit of an overview. We have a blog as well on our website, so you can look at that and then let's have a conversation. So it gives them a good kind of a snapshot into what is it, what is development finance, what is bridging, how does a commercial mortgage work, and things like that. So that was my thing, and then kind of translated into what we were talking about before we started recording is this other project that I've taken on, volunteering with London Careers Hub, where I go into local schools and colleges and I talk to kids about money, because I feel like I researched this and they're like, no, it's not taught in schools. We don't teach kids about money. And I'm like, you don't teach kids about money? This is the thread that holds us together when they come out of university, college, whatever. That's the main thing. It's so important to learn, because I had a bad experience with it. When I went to college, I didn't know how credit cards worked and things worked. I worked myself in a lot of debt as a young person. It took me years to come out of it. So I'm like, people need to be taught about this. People need to be taught about, they need to look after their credit and their credit score. And that means everything, not just if you want to get a mortgage one day, but also sometimes when you want to get a job that you may get credit checked for it, or you want to rent a flat or something like that. Your credit score is everything in that aspect. Even if
you just want to get a mobile phone.
Yes.
I got rejected. I mean, I was 19, but I got rejected from my mum was paying my mobile phone bill, and I think I had I had a missed payment on a Barclay card, right? I mean, it's ironic now because I got perfect credit, but I had a missed payment on a Barclay card, and O2 were like, yeah, we're not going to let you have a contract, and so my mum had to keep paying my mobile phone bills for me.
Exactly, same thing happened to me. I went to get a car. They're like, oh no, your credit is declined. I was like, what? Why? I haven't done anything. And they're like, yeah, because you haven't done anything. We want you to do something.
That's
There's
the irony,
got to be activity,
So people, I think that's the crazy thing, which is like people are like, well, but I don't have any debt. And it's like, that, ironically, the way the system works, and this is part of your education, is that you actually have to have some credit footprint. Yeah. So because they need, it's a bit like real estate development finance.
Yes.
You if you don't have any experience, it's hard to, and so you've got to find the ways of getting on the ladder.
Yes.
And even at a micro level, on a personal level, you've got to do that, which is remarkable.
The most popular video on the channel has been the one about credit score, top 5 tips. I think I did a video about CCJs, how to get rid of CCJs. That was a very popular video. And I think the bridging and development videos I'd done, because credit and these type of things, they're very like taboo subjects to people. Like people feel, obviously you feel embarrassed. Even if you haven't done anything, but you feel embarrassed to say it to somebody, you don't know how it is. And that's where my passion came from. I said, no, let's talk about it. Be open. And that's one of the things I say to my clients. I say, just be open and honest with me in that first conversation. Don't worry about it. Just, you can talk to me.
Yeah. Don't be ashamed.
Don't be ashamed.
Because speaking from a lender's point of view, if someone's upfront with you about the hairs, warts, the skeletons, you can make a credit decision in full knowledge.
Yeah.
The same set of circumstances, as in the same background circumstances, but you're presented with the skeletons 2 days before you're due to draw down.
Yeah.
It's a perception thing. You've got to manage that perception. You've got to manage that perception, and the reality. It's that old adage. It's not what people don't remember what you tell them. They remember what you make them feel.
Yeah.
And I guess if you tell someone that the last minute, they feel deceived and cheated.
A lot of times, people don't even know, because nobody really goes and checks their credit report or credit score and stuff like that. So my first point of business with anybody is, send me a copy of your credit report. Like, why do you need that? Like, well, I just want to see, my credit is clean and stuff. And they will they will argue with it. I'm like, are you willing to bet on it? How much you want to bet? Okay. And recently, I think I had this incident where this client was just like upset, like, why my case can decline and da-da-da-da. I'm like, give me a copy of your credit report. And even before sending it to me, send me a long commentary, attached the report. He's like, I noticed there was this, I didn't even know, this communication company registered a charge against me or something, a penalty, because I didn't return the equipment or something silly like that. It's like, wow. He's like, how would you have known, about something like that? So checking your credit score regularly, definitely. I say do it, but I say this is the type of conversation I have with people.
Yeah, I have a premium. I don't know if it's premium, but like I pay like £15 a month to Experian, and I get. And I know you can check all the stuff for free, but I quite like that. Anytime there's any activity on my credit file, I get an
instant
email.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, cool.
And a lot of times what happens is you don't realize it, and you'll see it when you, right at the bottom of your credit report, who has been running credit checks on you or, things like that. And you're like, I didn't apply for that. I didn't apply for this. So why, So I think that's very important, and that's a really good, and I have the Experian one as well. And I get instant like, this someone did. I'm like, okay, that's a genuine one.
Yeah. But also it's like, you'd be amazed the number of soft searches people do on you, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's like there's 2-3 pages of it when you look at it sometime, insurance company, whatever, and it's just ridiculous, how many you do. And a lot of times when you have a loan going through with a company, they do, even though the loan may be approved, but the time between offer and completion, sometimes they'll continue to run those checks on you. So just because you've got an offer doesn't mean you've crossed the finish line. No. It's not there yet.
Don't go popping into HRO and get that Ferrari on finance just yet.
Oh, I've had a client who did just that, actually. And I was like, you dummy. Politely.
In terms of like getting clients from YouTube or from, I guess, your social activity, what's the biggest deal you've done from the back of it, and what's the most satisfying bit of business you've done? Because they're obviously not necessarily the same.
Yeah, so been few deals. I think the most satisfying one was I received a phone call one day, and I'm like, this is not a UK number, because the country code was different, and I don't know what country code it was, but I picked up the phone. I'm talking to this guy, and as I'm talking to him, I'm checking the country code, and it was a call coming from Dubai. And he's talking to me about his mortgages and da-da-da-da. And whenever I get any call, not to be like, worried about it or anything like that. But I always like to know exactly, how did you find us? So I know what's working for me. Is it social media working for me, the website, whatever. So the guy goes, I actually, one of my contacts liked one of your videos on LinkedIn. So I started looking at it. And then from that video, I found your YouTube channel. And then I just started seeing all these things. And I'm like, oh, this guy knows what he's doing. And then I found your contact details. And here we are talking. And I was like, all right, great. And in the end, I think so he was an expat living in Dubai, working for a big company. But he had 3 or 4 properties in the UK, and I ended up helping him refinancing those properties and finding out different solutions for him, and creatively then helping him grow his portfolio as well. So I think that was quite satisfying in knowing the reach of these videos, because when I'm creating these videos, I'm not thinking that. I'm not thinking, oh, someone's going to ring me from that part of the world or somewhere, as a lead. I'm never thinking like lead. My passion or my reason for doing these videos is always education.
Yeah.
It's always education. It's always giving the knowledge and passing the knowledge on. The returns just come automatically. Yeah. And LinkedIn was one example. Facebook was another one. I've had people contact me through Facebook. They're like, oh, we've been following you for a good year or two. I mean, it's not going to happen instantly, guys. Yeah. And that's why I say to people, social media or anything like that, it's not going to happen instantly. It takes time. So they're like, oh, we've been following your stuff for 2-3 years. And, I got this problem and this type of thing. And they call you for one thing, but then you end up helping them with everything else. Yeah. So, it's just good to talk to those people, and just knowing all that hard work, all those retakes I had to do worked for me in the end.
It's I don't know if you follow Gary Vaynerchuk, but it's very much the sort of, he has this concept he calls it jab, 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 right hook. So the jab, what he means by that is the jab is like the kind of the giving the content, giving, and then the right hook is like the ask, basically. Yeah. Eventually, if you give enough value, you can ask for something in return. So I guess that you're you put out a lot of jabs, and then you got a few right hooks in on the back of it.
A lot of times, also, is the content you're putting out on social media. It's not always about lead generation. The other thing it also does for you, it builds credibility within your circle of people and your introducers. Because even people, maybe you're a good introducer and stuff, they may not pass you business, just like that. But when they see you doing things, sharing a good news story, case studies, and, things like that, and you're doing this consistently. And that's always I say to people, I say, people sometimes have this burst of doing social media activity, and you see a post every single hour for 5 days a week or 7 days a week from them, and then they're disappeared off the face of the earth. And this was my thing when starting this YouTube channel. I thought about it so many times. I'm like, should I do this or should I not? Because this is a big commitment I'm making. Because if I'm going to do this, I need to keep going with it. So if I'm saying I want to do one video a week or one video a month or every couple of weeks, I need to keep that consistency. So people then in their minds, oh, it's a Wednesday, Ash must be putting out a video today. I wonder what Ash is talking about this week or something like that. So it's building that relationship with your audience, which is very, very important as well.
I think that the point you make about credibility with the introducers is absolutely fascinating, and not something that I would have thought about, obviously not being in the brokerage space. But if you just explain maybe to some of our less initiated viewers and listeners the importance from a broker's perspective of introducers, because as a lender, we very much, the bulk of our deals come from brokers like yourself, but there are people who are not so much sub-brokers, but effectively people who introduce business to you. You just explain very briefly why introducers are important for brokers, and again, why credibility is key because of the nature of where a lot of these introducers are.
I think introducers are very, very important because of the quality of business you're going to find. So I know a lot of brokers that try doing this lead generation and, whatever, clicks and things like that, or cold calling and things like that. I mean, I've done cold calling in my life at an early age when I was going to college. Not an easy job. No. It's a hard job, but it hardened me. So I think the business is done through people and through good people. And when a business is introduced to you from a good introducer, whether it be your accountant, could be an existing client, a past client, whatever, family member, someone in your circle, part of a network and things like that, it's just that quality of lead. But at the same time, there's added pressure because you've come recommended by someone. So you must be good. That's why they recommended you, but then you have to kind of deliver now.
Yeah.
That's another thing. And that's why I think the importance of introducers is there. And if you keep your introducers happy, most important thing is also keeps your, when you explain to somebody, this is what I do, or you mention products, nobody's going to understand products. They don't understand. They only understand stories and how good. And once you help a certain client or solve a problem for a client, you're a problem solver basically as a broker, and that's why I love the job. People ask me, why do you love being a broker? I say, well, I love solving problems. It's very satisfying. So I think when you can show to somebody and your introducers, you can solve people's problems, they will, keep you busy.
Yeah.
They will continue to, and not just when you solve this client's problem, they will remember you, and then they will refer you to a friend or someone talking to, I know a guy got me out of this jam and stuff like that. And also keeping contact. Don't just, don't take your introducers for granted. You need to keep contact with them, kind of like a BDM does,
Correct,
with us, keeping contact with us and speaking and updating and stuff. So this is something that I've kind of mastered over the years. And I think that's why introducers are very, very important, very key.
Do you think as well, one of the other benefits of having the social profile that you have, the YouTube channel, obviously going back 6 years now, but as a new broker or a new brokerage, do you think it enabled you to give people the impression that you are more mature and more established?
I think you should always kind of, I'm not saying lie, but you should always
fake it till you make it type thing.
No,
you don't like that.
I don't know. I don't like that. I don't like that term. I think you know what you know, because if you're going to try and pose and talk about something you don't know about, you're going to get caught out, basically, So when I first started doing these videos, like I knew nothing about bridging finance. I studied bridging finance inside and out in a way that when I'm having a conversation with somebody, any question can be thrown at me. I want to have the answer to that question. You're not always going to have answers to all the questions, but at least, you know where to find out or how to do it. And back to your question on social media, again, it's the image that you create. But I always say to people, don't create that false image. Learn your craft, master your craft, get good at it. You're not going to be good at everything, but get good at something and then deliver it with passion.
Yeah, I guess the key thing is find a niche, stand out in that niche.
Absolutely.
And because it's, I guess it's an increasingly crowded marketplace, right? So the world is becoming smaller and smaller in so many ways.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the future.
Yep. Let me get my crystal ball.
Well, I guess it's something that's a bit more in your control, not entirely in your control, of course. But what is the next 5 years of your brokerage look like? If you're kind of to paint the ideal picture as you sit here today at the beginning of 2026.
Ooh, you're asking me for next 5 years. It's very uncertain times we're going through. It's so hard to predict, but it's like more about ambitions, what my ambitions are for the business. I started out as a one-man band 6 years ago, and now we have grown into a small team of 6. And I want to kind of continue growing in that aspect where we get more people on board, the right people who kind of live by our values and the expectations that I have, and treat the clients the way I treat clients, because I treat clients and talk to clients the way I want to be treated and talked to. So that's my ambition. My long-term ambition, if it's more sort of beyond the 5 years, I look at it as a business, as a legacy business, that one day perhaps maybe one of my kids would want to work with me in that. And already I kind of do that with them, where, you know, my son, he goes to the to the office with me during summer holidays and half term, and he sits with me and he's asking me questions about various things. I explained to him the difference the other day between buying a car compared to leasing a car, like what's better and what's not. So I'm like, okay, it's my opinion. He's 8. Start him early.
So you are literally living your education that you preach,
exactly.
right?
When he comes into the office, I set him up on the laptop. I'm like, you're not here to like play games or anything like that. I'll set him up on Canva or something like that. And he's designing things. I'll draw something on a paper and I'll be like, hey, do this design for me, see what it looks like. And then he tries to do it, and, you know, things like that. Awesome. I set him up on Excel. I show that to him. So I think kind of like teach them these things, you know, because I think their generation is going to be a lot more competitive. So, but if I can kind of introduce this to them, I'm just helping them find things. This may not be for him, but
I'm sure you're opening up many avenues to him, notwithstanding that. I mean, talking about tech, how do you see, you know, the role of tech and the evolution of the financial advisory space over, I mean, I would say 5 years, but the coming years? Because I guess you're looking at the advancement of AI over the last, even, let's call it 3 years, really, 4 years. Things have come a long way in a really short space of time. Like, you can only see that accelerating. But how do you see that impact on what you're doing?
I'm already seeing it, actually, in a positive way, I would say. So at the moment, AI is like the boogeyman or something for everybody. Like, oh my God, AI is coming. You know, I actually did a post and I even did a video of AI versus AI type of thing. Like, you know, artificial intelligence compared to, like, you know, like the human, and what are the pros and cons and things like that. Ultimately, I think it's a tool. It will never replace, you know, us. Only thing it does, it gives us an added tool. And I say, use it to your advantage. You can now serve better, as in your customer service levels should increase now that you have this tool. You have this availability. You can do things, you know, speedier way, in a more quality way. But I think people still, you know, don't underestimate the human touch. You know, people still need people. You know, you can still talk to AI, like when I'm talking or chatting to my bank or somewhere or something, chatting to a bot. I still am hoping there's a button there which I can press that tells me, okay, I'm transferring you to a colleague or talk to somebody. So I think people will still want to talk to someone. AI will have limitations, and AI is only what you instruct it to do, or the information you give it is what you're going to get back. It's not going to like just read your mind or anything like that. As compared to a human, when you have a conversation, there's more emotion involved and things like that. So I think it's a positive thing, and technology is more and more, and we're kind of embracing it more and more. Like, obviously, when we embraced the CRM system in our business, we saw the productivity go up. You know, a lot of the tasks were just automated rather than we had like an Excel sheet or something before for it. So go on the Excel sheet. It's all in there. It's just going to remind me. It's going to do it. It's going to do automated messages. It's just quicker. Type in a command, bam. So yeah, I love it. I think it's great.
No, nice. Well, I think we kind of need to start the wind down now. But Ash, I just wanted to ask you our standard closing question, which is, if you were to give some self-talk to your younger self, and you can pick whatever age you want, what advice would you give to yourself, and why?
That's a tough one. You've put me in the spot now here, but I think it's more like advice that I give to my son now, and it is that if you have clear goals. basically. Have clear goals and objectives and put a plan in place for it. Don't just wait. Don't procrastinate. Don't wait till the last minute and things like that. If you are passionate about something, you want to get something done, you're going to have to put the work in. And you're going to have to work harder than you think and harder than your competition. And don't be afraid. Don't ever think, what will that person think, or what will others think if I do this or say that? This is your life. These are your goals. These are your ambitions. If you did great, people will applaud you. If you did bad, nobody cares. they ain't gonna be there. So it's just you need to do it. So I think don't be afraid to work on yourself. But work on educating yourself and learning. Use your time wisely. I think the biggest thing we have, there's, again, I did a video about it too. People are talking about the cost of living crisis. I think we need to talk about the cost of time crisis, because how much time is wasted every day. Yeah. If you sit down and break down your 24 hours, write everything you did in the 24 hours, and then you say, yeah, I have so many gaps. What was I doing for that gap? Yeah. How long was I scrolling on TikTok for or something without realizing, and all these distractions and noises around us, and noises are so much more. That's why I've personally, for the last 1 year, I've turned off all notifications on everything, even emails. So I think there's quite a few advices. So I think, just pick one of those and I'd go for that.
I love it. And it's all really good value, and you can see your educational content. You're bringing it here today as well. So we love that energy. Ash, thanks so much for coming in to see us.
Thanks for having me.
I'm sure you'd like people who've been watching to reach out. I'm assuming. If people do want to reach out, what's the best way to get hold of you? How would you like them to get in touch?
So you can find me on all social media platforms. Just search at The People's Broker, whether it be LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and go check out the YouTube channel, which is the Focus Finance Solutions channel, or search The People's Broker. And there is, I think, over 500 videos on that channel now. You will find a video or a short about a topic, financial topic you're looking for, or a talk or something. So go check it out, give it a subscribe, help the channel, and good to connect with people.
All right, I'll be doing that myself.
Please.
Well, thank you all for tuning in, watching. Thanks to Davina Patel, our producer. Thanks to Philippe, who's helping with the technical side of things today. I've been Michael Dean. You can find me on the internet at property_funder, and we'll talk to you again on the next one. Thanks, and bye-bye.